this one is entitled Icicle. And the episode starts with Icicle. It's a little bit of his backstory where his wife unfortunately was on her deathbed. She was, she was on, she was basically like on her last minutes. The parents were there, grandparents were there. Their son was there because Icicle and his wife, they had a child. The mom spoke to the son, and then she spoke to her husband, and in which he said, he said that he'll fulfill the promise that they made, and he'll make the world a safer place, and this, that, and the third. And then, it was very odd because usually, like in superhero, in all these superhero, like adaptations, there's always like a motivational factor for both a villain and a hero. Whereas like with a villain, maybe they got wronged by somebody, or a loved one died, like a family member died, and the person that died was innocent, and but the villain, he or she just couldn't get past the like the pain to do the right thing, and they just had to get their revenge. But in this case, and this kind of surprised me, I was under the impression that his wife and his family was good people, and he was the one that just emotionally lost it. Right before the wife died, she gave him a hug, and then she said to Icicle, because he told her, he was like, "Don't worry, I'll fulfill the promise and I'll make the world safe." And then she was like, "Yes, dear, you do that." And then she whispered to him, she was like, "And if anybody tries to stop you, kill them." And I was like, wait, what? Those were her last words. Like, her last words to her husband was, "Yo, if anybody tries to stop you, you blow them some bitches up." So I'm just like, wow, that was different. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. So, so then now we fast forward, I guess, 10 years later, because the boy had to have been like 6 or 7. So now he's probably like 16, 17 years old. So it's about 9, 10 years later, whatever. And Icicle, he's back in town. He's in Blue Valley. He's basically the unofficial mayor of Blue Valley. Like, he runs everything. He runs the corporation that Courtney's mom works for. Like, he's got his hand in a lot of stuff. Like, the man is paid, but again, he's all, as we saw in the previous episode, he's also the leader of the Injustice Society, which is still mind-boggling to me, how with an organization with this many like metahumans and people with with superpowers, I don't understand how the ice guy is the one that's the leader. But anyway, so he goes to the job the next day, and he goes to Courtney's mom's job, and he's addressing like the people, the chubby dude that basically like runs the organization. I don't trust him. He get on my nerves, and I still don't know what power he has. I thought he was the wizard guy. Apparently he's not the wizard guy. There's an actual other wizard guy. There's another magician. There's another man who has a magician's wand. He has a wife. He has a son. His son is trying to be a magician just like his dad. But the big dude that works at the corporation, he's there. And again, it's weird because this guy's kind of like a jerk. And when Icicle was there, and he was just like, he was meeting everybody for the first time, and he was like, "This is going to be our plan to save the world and to save Blue Valley." Courtney's mom spoke up. She's like, "Well, I used to live in Blue Valley, and when I was a kid, we used to have a theater where like the local residents would put on plays and everything." And then like the dude, the chubby dude, he's just like, "Well, that's stupid. It doesn't make money." And I'm like, damn, B. But then Icicle was just like, "No, you're right. That'll bring the community together." So he's kind of, he was impressed by the mom, and then he spoke to her later, and he was like, "Hey, we're having a board meeting tonight at 6:30. Why don't you come through?" And then, she respectfully declined because she was like, "I got family dinner coming up." So Icicle, he's in town. He spoke to the wizard guy, and he was just like, he spoke to the dude with the magic wand, and he was just like, "Bro, like, you supposed to hold it down while I was gone, and now there's like a new Starman that's popped up, and I heard it's a girl. And you ain't do nothing about it." And then he was like, "I thought Brainwave was gonna take care of it," and he was like, "I need you to take care of it." You could tell the magician wasn't really feeling the whole supervillain thing anymore. Like, he was actually just perfectly happy having his wife, having his son, and just living a normal life. And now that Icicle's back and he's trying to get like the criminal thing started again, the magician wasn't really feeling it too much. The magician's wife, she popped up in the last episode too. She was in one scene where somebody had walked by her, and then she turned and looked at the camera, And now the next episode we see that she's actually a thing now. She, like she's, she and I think that she's going to be more important as the season progressed, but I'll get into that later. So now back to the superhero portion of it. So Courtney's talking to Pat, and then she's just like, yo, we got bust some Icicle ass. And then he was just like, well, he was like, well, Brainwave, he's still in the hospital, and the other members of the Injustice Society are out there. So he was just like, yo, don't do anything until we have, until we come up with a plan. So she's like, all right, cool. I mean, she pretends not to listen, but she's like, all right, cool. She goes to school. She's now at school. The magician's son rolls up on her. He's like, he's doing his magic trick because he's like, I'm practicing for the school talent show. The dark-haired girl who everybody calls a slut, somebody wrote the word slut on her locker, typical high school bullshit. And then, Courtney tried to come to her defense because the popular girls were making fun of her. And Courtney tried to come to her defense, and then the girl was just like, stop trying to help me, I don't need your help. And then she got mad and walked away. So so when the magician's kid was doing his magic trick, there was another boy who was behind Courtney who was watching the magic trick. It was the whole like, hey, pick a card and I'll tell you what your card is. When Courtney picked the card, she put the card back in the deck, and then when the kid pulled the card out, he was like, is this the card? It wasn't, but Courtney lied to make him feel better and told him that he had the right card. The other boy behind him, he saw that, and he knew that Courtney had lied about the card trick, but he didn't say anything. Later on, the girl who got slut written across her locker, somebody had painted over the word slut with like flowers and and everything. They made something beautiful out of it all over her locker. So then like the mean girls got mad at that. They were just like, I don't know who did this, but you ain't special, bitch. And then Courtney was just like, oh, stop trying to slut shame her. And then the girl was like, stop trying to help me, and she got mad and walked away. So then later Courtney is sitting behind. So the kid who pointed out the kid who watched her lie about the card game sat in front of her in class. She was like, Courtney was peeking over his shoulder looking in his book, and she saw that the kid knew how to draw. And she was like, oh, and then she tapped him, and she was like, oh, you're the one that spray painted the flowers all over homegirl's locker. And then he was just like, yeah, don't say nothing though. So so now like that's like this whole weird thing. So then now, so she leaves, so like class is over, everybody leave, like the drama's over. Courtney's on her way home from school, and while she's on her way home from school, it got real cold, and then she saw a gigantic star in the middle of the grass that was frozen. So she was just like, oh, Icicle. So she runs to Pat, and she's like, Pat, Icicle left a frozen star in the forest. We gotta go get him. And then Pat was just like, bitch, that's a trap. He was like, don't you know a trap when you see one? And then she was just like, no, but he killed my daddy. And he was like, Stargirl, he's like, Starman wasn't your daddy. Like, why do you insist that this man was your daddy? And then the staff came upstairs, and the staff was just like, the staff was basically just like, yo, we going after Icicle to get our revenge. So then Courtney was just like, yo, Pat, we going whether you want to or not. So Pat jumps in the robot, the two of them, they she puts on the Stargirl costume, and they go after Icicle. The mom comes home, nobody's there for family dinner, so she's just like, whatever, since nobody wants to do family dinner anymore. She went to the meeting, she went to the meeting that Icicle was having at the town hall. So Stargirl and Pat got the robot working, they're fighting, like the Icicle shows up. He freezes the robot with like two little ice daggers. He freezes the robot. He's fighting Courtney. He freezes the staff, and then he looks across the river and sees a school bus coming across a bridge. Now, the magician's son was on that bus, and the nerdy black girl was on that bus too. The wizard said that he came in, like the magician's son said that he came in third place in the talent show. So they were, but here's what's important. It's not that whole scene was complete bullshit, and you have to pay close attention to this, because this kid, he's the son of the magician of the Injustice Society. When he was talking to the black girl, and she commented on him coming in third, he said, hey, it's okay. But then he looked her dead in the face, and he specifically said, for some reason, I can feel my power getting stronger. And I was just like, what an odd thing to say. So I feel like that statement's going to mean something. So then Icicle, he freezes the bridge. The typical villain, like, like, I'm gonna put these people in danger, and if you wanna be a hero, you got to save the children. So he freezes the bridge. The bus, ends up sliding, like half of it. It crashes. The bus crashes. All the kids get off the bus. Now the bus is here. The kids are sitting behind the bus. The magician's son has his deck of cards, in his hand, and some of the cards fly out of the deck, and he goes and gets the cards. As he's reaching his hand out to go get the cards, Icicle sees a truck coming in the bus's direction, so he freezes the bridge again. The truck spins out of control because he can't stop because there's ice under him. And just as the magician's son is reaching for the card, the truck, was coming at the same time, and they basically killed the boy. Now, we're going to assume that he's dead because they had a memorial for him and everything. But I still feel like him saying his power is getting stronger is going to mean, I don't know if that's, I'm not saying that's going to bring him back to life, but that statement was made for a reason. So now everybody's all shook up. The magician, he's upset. He goes home and tells his wife that their son died. The wife, she gets upset. And then, like, I feel like the wife, like the magician's wife is gonna be important, because after he told his wife that, like, our son was dead, like, the two of them, like, broke down hysterically. They were crying, and then the magician immediately got mad because he knew that ice was involved in his son's death. So he ran to the safe. He opened the safe. He took his magic wand out of the safe. He left his wife there crying on the floor, which was jacked up. He went to Icicle's house, put the wand in his face, and he was just like, "Tell me you didn't mean to kill my son on purpose." And then Icicle touched the guy's wand and froze it, and then froze the magician completely solid, and he killed the magician. And I'm sitting here like, Icicle's not that like, dude, like, he's not a boss. Like, this guy was a magician. He had magic powers. Brainwave, had telepathic mental power. Like, the ice guy is not that. He's not gangster. Like, it's actually really bothering me that everyone is afraid of Icicle. Icicle is not that. I don't understand why he's the boss. Like, Icicle is not a boss. And there's no, as like, and then my whole thing is, does no one have fire powers? Like, was there no JSA member with fire? Does no one on the Injustice Society have fire? Like, where's the fire person? Because Icicle's not that dude. I'm sorry, but that's my personal opinion. So now, the magician is dead. The magician's son is dead, and then they cut to a scene with the wife just sitting on the steps of the house, just like crying, because her husband and her son is now gone. I don't know. I truly feel like, because again, they showed this woman briefly in the last episode, and now she actually has something to do in this episode, and she just lost her entire family. She's going to be somebody. Like, she's not just going to be some random person. This woman will be somebody. Whether she finds out that Icicle killed her family and then she tries to take him down politically, whether she finds her husband's magic wand and she becomes the new magician, or something gonna happen, but this woman's basically gonna be somebody. So that's my prediction. And then the boy who drew the flowers on the girl's locker, who was drawing in the book, he goes home to talk to his dad, and then you find, because he was telling his dad that they had a memorial for the kid who died, and then you find out that the kid's dad is Icicle. And so that would make him Icicle Jr., which means the kid obviously has ice powers. He will be Icicle Jr. at some point, and that's going to be pretty interesting, only because Icicle is a straight up villain, and his son so far seems to be a good kid that has a good heart. He wrote flowers on the girl who was being slut shamed. He was befriending Courtney. He went to the magician kid's funeral. Like, Icicle Jr. is actually a good kid. So we'll see if he stays that way and joins and joins the good guys, or if he takes his dad's mantle and becomes a villain. But I thought that was pretty interesting as well, because like I said, the villains of all these kids are gonna eventually end up being the villains on the show. And the girl, the most popular girl in school, I already said her mama, like her dad's a villain, so it's only a matter of time before that come to light. So so then after that so Courtney was upset, because of what happened. Pat, trying to make her feel better, whatever. He takes her to the headquarters of the JSA. He shows her all the fallen members of the JSA. She sees everyone's picture. She sees everyone's poster, and everything. And Pat was just like, look, we got to stop doing the superhero thing. And, because he was like, a kid died. And, that's why we got to stop. And then she was like, well, it's because a kid died, which is why we have to keep going. Like, you got to fight to honor the fallen. And she's right. She's 100% right. So, but he showed her, he had all the costumes of all the JSA people too. They had a Green Lantern they had a lantern. They had, Wildcat's mask. They had Hourman's hourglass. And then, Dr. Midnight, they had like his helmet with his glasses, and they had his owl, like the damn owl, like I understand owls are nocturnal creatures. The damn owl's sitting in the JSA in the dark, and he's been sitting there for over 10 years. I'm like, is anyone feeding this owl? But Pat did say that the owl is special. He's like, it is a special owl. And I'm just like, because Courtney jumped. When Courtney saw the owl, she was just like, yo, is this thing real? And that's the same thing. I'm like, hey, I just got this owl up in here. Like, ain't nobody feeding it. So, but Pat was just like, look, he was just like, we need a plan. Like, we just can't go in blind, because now people are starting to die and shit's getting real. So he was just like, until further notice, there'll be no superheroing, no supering of any kind. And we're gonna sit back, we're gonna come up with some new plans, and then we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do going forward. So of course the girl don't listen, and then in the very next scene, she goes back to the JSA headquarters at night when everybody's asleep. And as soon as she walked in, because she told Pat, because when her and Pat were there the first time, she said to Pat, she was like, look, if the Injustice Society, has members, and if they killed all the previous members, why can't we just come up with a new team? Why can't we use the JSA's, like, their weapons and everything, to come up with a new band of heroes? And then Pat was like, no. So of course Courtney doesn't listen, and she goes back to the JSA. And as soon as she went back to the JSA, I said, Lord, she about to steal this owl. I was like, this girl about to steal this damn owl. But she walked in, she took Wildcat's helmet, she took Hourman's helmet, she took the lantern, and then there was a pink pen. There was like a pink pen that was sitting somewhere. And when she took the pink pen, I heard a giggle. There was like a giggle, like a little bit of laughter. I don't know if anybody else heard that, but the pen giggled when she took it. Courtney did not react to the fact that the pen giggled. And I'm like, did she not hear the pen giggle? Because I heard the pen giggle. I have no idea what's going on with the pen. I'm going to have to research that one. But there is a part of me that doesn't want to research it, because I'd rather just be surprised when whatever's supposed to happen happens. So now we're on the search for Courtney's basically looking for teammates, and she's looking to rebuild a new JSA. And that's how the episode ended. So now I saw the coming attractions for next week's episode. The girl who's being slut shamed, she becomes Wildcat, and her and Courtney are just out there fighting crime. And honestly, that's a little annoying, but only because we just spent this entire episode with the girl. Well, not even this episode, but the first 3 episodes. We spent 3 episodes with this girl not talking, sticking to herself, getting mad at Courtney for coming to her defense, just being antisocial. And now all of a sudden I'm just supposed to believe in the next episode her and Courtney are best friends now, and they're all fighting crime. So the one critique I am going to have about this, I mean, I'll wait and see what happens next week to see what goes on with the Wildcat situation. But the one critique that I do have about this show so far, people are too accepting of what's happening way too quickly. Like I said, this girl can't go from, Courtney, stop trying to come to my rescue, I don't want your help, to, hey, let's go out and fight crime. Now we're Stargirl and Wildcat. And I'm just like, this is happening too fast. Like, there has to be some resistance here. Like, if anything, even if you want to call the next episode Wildcat, and you want to see, and the next episode should have been Courtney trying to convince her to do it, and then she says no, and then maybe by episode 5 she does it, but she just shouldn't automatically do it in the next episode. So I'm like, ugh. But you know, and it's only a matter of time before the black girl probably becomes the new Hour. She's gonna become Hour Girl or something. So we'll but that's it. But we'll see. But it's still interesting. The like I said, the thing with the mom, because the mom, she's working for Icicle directly now, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. The magician's mom is in effect. We still got some kids. Icicle Jr. is in effect now. So the show is definitely taking form. But like I said before, the one thing that definitely has my interest and what's keep me coming back is the Injustice Society. I do want to know who each villain is, who their kid is, how it plays into a factor, this, that, and the third. I just don't understand why Icicle's the leader when everybody else got better powers. So that was it. Thank you for tuning in. I got my Legends of Tomorrow season finale up and running. Got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming. So keep it locked as we review episode 4 of Stargirl next time entitled Wildcat. But for this episode, for Icicle, take care. And I'm out this bitch.